Good day once again, friendly viewers. This is my review of The Walking Dead Mid-Season Premiere. So Season 3, Episode 9. I know this is probably new to my channel, but I have been part of live streams on ZoroFanboy124. On his channel, I've done been part of live stream reviews, so I'm well versed in the universe of Walking Dead. So if you're a fan, then I hope you enjoy this review. So I had a lot of expectations coming into this. The previous seasons and the beginning of this season 3 was pretty epic. There, obviously, Walking Dead can be very, very slow at times. The comic is even slower, which is a worry for people, well, for TV fans, because sometimes that slow pace doesn't translate well into TV. And that was, to be honest, this episode, season 3, episode 9. This was the first episode that I really felt like they didn't get that pace right. Season 2 was quite slow for the most part, but I felt like I was emotionally engaged. The characters were developing at a rate that I was still engaged with, whether or not there was a lot of action. So straight off the bat, we follow we come back into the action from the end of the mid-season finale. With Merle and Daryl, the two brothers, having to fight to the death. This episode really had bad acting for me. I really didn't like the acting. I don't know if the director or director of photography or maybe even editing, the editor has changed or something. But there was a lot of awkward pauses. There were a lot of really weird things. I don't know. The fight between Merle and Daryl were really weirdly choreographed, and Merle is like, follow my lead, little brother, and then they sort of get up and then they're standing back to back, and it's like, nice one, that solved nothing. There were other instances during the episode, like when Axel and the blonde girl, can't remember her name, they walk to Tyrese to give them the shovel, and then Tyrese and the girl get in the way so the other guys don't use the shovels as weapons. They take the shovel, and then Axel and the girl are like, well, if you need anything else, then be sure to say. And then there was this really awkward pause, and it was almost like the younger actor, the girl, was waiting for the older actor in Axel to give a cue of when to leave. She sort of waited, and then once he turned around, they sort of walked off. And it was really awkward. It was really poor. I mean, poor acting, I guess, but I think maybe even worse editing and directing. Anyways, there was some really cool parts in this episode. Not everything was negative. There was a lot of Glenn, really cool stuff with Glenn, where Glenn gets attacked by a zombie, and he fucking stomps the shit out, stomps the brains out of a zombie. That was gruesome. That was really cool. And Rick started, we see a bit of Rick's insanity coming through a bit more. So Rick comes back to the prison to find these guys, this new group, Tyrese, who's from the comic. A lot of comic fans will know him as a complete badass. And Rick's not sure what he wants to do. He doesn't want them here, and Herschel's we've followed you this whole time. We've never ever questioned you, but this time you're wrong. Then Rick starts going fucking mental. So yeah, that's a bit of a weird one. And Tyrese is a bit sort of, Tyrese is a good guy. Tyrese, no worries about him. Other aspects of the episode was the governor. The governor's obviously losing his grip, and Andrea is starting to develop as a character, becoming more of a leader. I've actually not always disliked Andrea. Beginning of this season, I really hated Andrea. She was really weak, and all she was doing was trying to get into the governor's pants. But by the end of season 2, she was pretty freaking awesome. So I'd like to see more of her from the end of season 2. I'd like her to sort of come back and be a bit of a boss, because Michonne's a pretty awesome female character. They can write awesome female characters, so it's cool when they get them right. So yeah, that's really cool. Hopefully we saw a bit of Andrea and where she could be. There's a dilemma with her. But yeah, that's basically. I didn't really like this episode for a season Midseason Premiere, you would have thought they would have got straight into the action, trying to hook new viewers. The comic is even slower than this episode was, but the comic does it really, really well, and the dialogue's really, really intense, and like, you know, Quentin Tarantino style, like they draw out these sort of character development plot lines. You know, they're in the prison for ages. You know, like in the scene where Herschel is talking to Glenn, and then he stumbles over. We see him like make a pathetic attempt to walk over to Maggie, and then talks to Maggie about, you know, how she is. You know, I didn't think that they did it very well. However, next episode looks like it's going to have a lot more action. They can do action well as long as it's not like human gun fights, because we know from the previous season finale they didn't get that one right either. But I'm still hopeful, fingers crossed, that they can pull this one out of the bag. And I'm still going to watch it next week. So if you are a fan of Walking Dead, please like this video. If you like all my videos and all my reviews, then feel free to subscribe, and I'll catch you later.